good time. Ooh, time to get our craft on. Ooh, time to have fun. Ooh, time to feel good.
Hey gifted crafters, welcome back for another Saturday CrafterNoon. I hope you are all keeping cool out there because I am tuning in from sunny South Florida where it is, they say it's 90 degrees, but it feels like 100 outside. It is really, really hot and humid. So, great day to stay inside and be in your craft room and get that AC going because it's probably not going to stop all day. I hope you guys had a fantastic week and I have a cute little project for you guys today. So I hope you really enjoy it. So if you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ and I host these weekly live sessions to talk about all things crafting. We do little tips, tricks, ideas, do little projects online, and we just have fun. So if that's something that you're into, drop into the chat and say hello to a couple of friends that we have out there and just, you know, share your ideas and tips. And we like to kind of help each other out. Some people have craft fairs that are coming up. Some people are Etsy sellers, or some are other YouTubers that are out there. So we like to share all kinds of ideas and get the community going. So I hope you really enjoy that. So let's jump in and say hello to some friends that I see out there. I see Amy Bullis, Crafting with Robin, Donna Phillips, Jackie Hallman, Jenny Owens, Judy Bauer, 1 Minute Tips. I see Robin's Quilt Basket and Sassy. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you spending the time with me. So I'm hoping that I get through my little project within the hour. So hopefully I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can to get you guys going because it is Saturday and I know you guys got tons of stuff to do, but I am really thankful for you guys to be spending the hour with me. Now, of course, I'm a girl, loves my holidays, so I got to give you the holidays for the day. It is Give a Hug holiday. So I'm going to give a really big virtual hug to all of you guys today. Thank you all for tuning in once again. I really appreciate all the subscribers and the members that we have out there. You guys have been fantastic and we're really going to just have so much fun. So go ahead and give a hug to someone you love in your home as well. It is also National Camera Day, so get the cameras out and take pictures of those projects that you guys been working on. Post them out on our Facebook group because I would really love to see them. And it is also, and this is my husband's favorite, it is International Fisherman's Day. So I know he doesn't really get to go out to go fishing as much as he used to way back then, but you know, it's something that he likes, and you know, hopefully he'll be able to do a couple of more sessions of fishing this year. Okay, so let's see. If you tuned in last week, we used our Cricut to make some applique pieces and used our heat and bond. Now, I've had a bit of a crazy week this week, so I really didn't get to do much more with the panels that we made. So we did make a couple of panels. If you recall, this was one with a little heart. My plan is to put some decorative stitching around here and then just go ahead and kind of cut this down to size and just make a little pillow out of it. We also made one where we took the applique pieces and kind of laid one on top of the other. So here's like two little swans and we have the little heart. So if you missed that last week, go ahead and tune into live number 96 and you will see all the information on that one. We had a lot of fun with that and there's so much more that you can do. So just tune in, and I shared a lot of tips and tricks that you can do for things like that. Okay, what are we doing this week? So this week we are going to do a little project that I hope you guys like. So I've been doing a lot of running around lately, and a lot of the projects that I work on, because I'm doing so much running around, I don't have a lot of time to be in my craft room. So I decided to make these little project bags. And these little project bags are things that I can kind of just grab and go. And I put my little projects inside, and then I can kind of head out the door, because paddleboard season is back with Special Olympics, and my son is a paddleboarder, so I do take him out to practices during the week. So, you know, kind of while he's paddleboarding, you know, I grab my little projects so I can do while he's out on the water, and just kind of, you know, do things on the go. But you can use these bags for all kinds of things, like putting little Lego pieces if you have little ones or grandchildren that like have these little pieces of toys. You can put them to just kind of gather things up. What I really like about it is we're going to be using some vinyl, and I like that there is a clear section of vinyl, so you can actually see what is inside the bag, which makes it really nice because I don't have to kind of just fumble around to see what's inside. I can clearly see which project this is, and I can just grab it and be on the go. So lots of little uses for these. People use them for traveling. Some people use them for projects, for toys. There's just a ton of things that you can do with these. It's a pretty simple project. I'm hoping I can get through this within the hour. Not too much materials that you'll need in here. We do box the corners on the bottom, so we'll talk about that. And we have a little bit of some cording here that I use as the drawstring. There's all kinds of things that you can use with this, like ribbon and all kinds of stuff. We do a little casing, and then just a little bit of fabric. So it's really a pretty good fabric scrap buster that you can make. And it's really easy and simple, and let's just get right to it because we've got a lot to talk about. I especially want to kind of hone in on working with vinyl. Got a lot of tips for you guys for tonight. Okay, so let's get started on this. So let's start off with what you're going to need in order to do this project. I've kind of laid out some of the stuff here, and I've got some notes here on the side here that has the measurements. So you are going to need 4 pieces of your main fabric, and these are cut 8 by 12. Now 8 by 12 is going to give you this size, which is, you know, it's a pretty small project bag. It's not anything huge. So if you're looking to make something a little bit bigger, you know, just play around with the measurements. This size that I'm using right here, again, this is 8 by 12, and you're going to need 4 pieces of these. But if you wanted to make this a little bit bigger, you know, you can just widen this here. And for everything that you widen, you also are going to want to add some length to it as well. Right, so just kind of play with that a little bit. This one is 8 by 12, so you could do something like, I don't know, 10 by 14, or, you know, depending what size you want on here. So you're gonna need 4 pieces of these, and you also don't necessarily need to have the same fabric top and bottom. Like I've decided to just use this blues fabric here on the top as well as on the bottom, but you can mix and match it and do one totally different on the top and a different one on the bottom. So play around with it, have some fun with it. There's so many options that you can do. You're also going to need a piece for the casing, and this is where your drawstring is going to be on the top here. So you're going to want to do some kind of contrasting fabric. Now I chose this fabric that has this little bit of a sparkly triangles. I don't know what you call it. There's like little colors on there, and it has little specks of black. So I went ahead and chose black as my casing. And you're going to just need 2 pieces of these, and these are going to be 4.5 by 10 inches. Okay, so pretty small pieces that you're going to need here. You know, they're not huge pieces of fabric. I think maybe with like a yard of fabric and a little piece of scrap for your contrasting fabric, you probably are going to be totally fine with that. And then you are going to want to get some vinyl. And let's talk a little bit about vinyl. So the vinyl is kind of hard to see on here. Now, for the vinyl, you're going to want to cut it 6 by 12, and you're going to want 2 pieces of those. Okay, I have it clipped here because it's so clear I kind of lose it sometimes, so I'm just going to leave the clip so I don't lose it. But let's talk about the vinyl, because there's so much about vinyl, right? The gauge of the vinyl is so important, and it depends on the project that you are specifically working on. So if you look at the gauge of different vinyls, you have, let's see, you have anything from, let me just double check my numbers here. For the gauge, you have vinyl thickness of either, you can work with a 4, which is like a lower gauge, and that's just give you a thinner piece of vinyl, or you can do an 8. An 8 is like a higher piece of vinyl, so it's like the thickness of the vinyl itself. Now you have to kind of be careful, because if it's too thin, you may have some problems working with it on your sewing machine, and if it's too thick, then sometimes, you know, it just doesn't really flow right with the project. And you can kind of get into the gauge and all of that stuff, but I tried to keep this really simple, and I wanted to kind of keep this really low budget. So what I ended up doing is I just went to my local Walmart and I brought a table protector, and I actually got it on clearance. So this is their Walmart brand mainstay. It's the Piva table protector, and this is the 60 by 108 inch. You don't need to get, you know, a huge size, you know, but this goes a long way. I can do tons of projects with this one little package, and I got it on clearance. It was $3.96. So, you know, tons of projects that you can make, because there's a whole lot of vinyl in here. So, you know, go ahead and check out, you know, what you would want to do. Now there is other things that you might want to look at when you're looking at vinyl. So if you go to the bathroom section and you go to like the shower curtains, you have different types of vinyl that you also can get. So like I said, you've got the different gauges, but the shower liners that they sell, like they don't really tell you the gauge. But what I did want to show you is, here's one that is also a mainstay brand, but this is a medium weight. So you can see that it clearly says it's a medium weight, so that means that the gauge is higher and it's a little bit thicker than the previous one that I showed you. Now, there's other things that you can get with these. They have different colors, you know, and different designs. And so like this one specifically, it's a medium weight, but it's also iridescent. So you may see here, and I'll try to put it close, you may see a little bit of a kind of a holographic type of look as I kind of move it around. You see how it kind of shines with the colors and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool, and that's something you can put on your bag. So if you want to go for that type of look, that is also available out there. But they also have these other ones that I thought were pretty fun, and these are ones that have these sparkles and little designs. So this one specifically has little stars and stripes. And, you know, if you're looking to make a little bag that has that, you know, what this kind of does, even though you have that clear piece, because you want to be able to see things through the bag, but it kind of also hides it a little bit, so you don't totally, everyone can't like totally see exactly what you have in your bag, right? You know what I mean? You don't, sometimes it's good to be clear, but you don't really want everyone to see what you have in that bag. So that's when things like this kind of come into place. You have like these little designs, and that'll kind of block it a little bit, but it'll still give you the visibility that you may need in order to do look to see what you have in that bag. So these are just some options that are out there, totally out there in Walmart. So if you wanted to go ahead with that, go ahead and do that. Or you can go to your local fabric store and just, you know, look at the gauges and decide which one is going to work for the project that you are working on. Now, I just kept it really simple. I went with the cheapest option. This is the vinyl from the mainstay. This is the very first one that I showed you. And let me just grab the little tag again. This is the Piva table protector mainstay. Okay, and this one seemed to work completely fine. It is a little thin, but I'm fine with that because this is really just my project bag. You know, I'm totally fine with it. It's strong enough where it is holding, and it works fine. I have no issues with it. So I was able to kind of put in, I've got my little project here with my crochet hook and some, you know, projects that I am working on. So I get to kind of just take it on the go and grab my stuff, you know, whether I'm taking my son to paddleboarding or I'm taking my mom to her appointments, or, you know, just running around doing stuff that everyone seems to have to do, right? I'm able to then just kind of grab my little bag, throw it in the car, you know, because sometimes you're just sitting there and you're just kind of waiting. And so my mind kind of just goes, and there's so many things that I need to be doing. And so at least I can kind of grab a project and get something done while I'm waiting around for something. So these are really great to just kind of have, and I do multiples of these, and I like to just kind of keep them around to just kind of grab and go. So cute little project bags. So those are some options that you have for the vinyl. And then, like I said, the cuts again for the main fabric, it's 8 by 12, and here it is. Main fabric is going to be 8 by 12. The casing is 4.5 by 10 inches, and then the vinyl itself is 6 by 12, and that's all you're going to need. So remember, 2 pieces of the vinyl, 2 pieces for the casing, and 4 pieces for the main fabric. You're also going to need some cording, right? So we've got the little macrame cords that you can get. I went ahead and just cut it at 36 inches. That is plenty, and you'll see here at 36 inches you will have more than enough, and you can even cut it shorter if you want later. It's totally up to you, but you know, as you open up the bag, remember it does shorten, but it still does have a lot here. So plenty of room. So I think that the measurements for the macrame cord is completely fine. Now let's move on for the next step on what you're going to have to do. I want to kind of get to that. Let me just kind of reorganize myself here. And where is the... See, I almost lost it again. Since they are so clear, it's so hard to see them. And I'll share some tips for that too. Okay, so here we are. Let me just set this over to the side. So the first thing you're going to want to do, and I kind of did some little steps going forward because I wanted to kind of move this along and make sure we had enough time. Now I went ahead, I just wanted to snip a couple of threads that I see here, no big deal. But you want to take your casing, right? You're going to have 2 pieces. You're going to take your casing, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to fold the edge over, and you're going to want to fold it over about 1/4 inch, and then you're going to want to sew it down into place. Now, some people kind of struggle with folding over fabric 1/4 of an inch, and they have these things called these heat measuring tapes. I forget the exact name of it. I know that I've seen it around in a lot of the craft stores. I kind of just made my own. It's really not anything glamorous, but all I did was take a piece of cardstock. I took my ruler and I just measured. I made sure that this was a nice straight edge here, and then I just measured with my ruler 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and an inch. I don't really use any more than that, but you can go further if you'd like. But just this little piece of cardboard with those measurements, drew the line all the way down, and I have my nice little ruler that I can use and bump up against my fabric. And then what I do is just kind of fold it over. Now you're going to be doing the sides here, so you're going to be folding this over. Let's see if I can grab here. Fold this over, bump it up against the fabric until you reach that the 1/4 inch line, or the 1/4 of the lunch line, right? Once you have that, you see that kind of nestles right there. You just kind of finger press it. You want to grab your iron and just iron that down into place. So you're going to do that on both sides, and then you're just going to take this over to your sewing machine, and you're going to just sew down that 1/4 inch and just sew it down, tack it down into place. Really simple, super easy. So you're going to do that to the both sides here, right? Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to do the same thing with the long pieces here. And basically what you're doing here is what you are trying to accomplish is you are trying to just get rid of the raw edges. You don't want people to see the raw edges. So go ahead and grab my little makeshift ruler here, bump it up against the fabric, and then I'm just going to finger press this down. Okay, now before we started anything, I went ahead and I ironed all my pieces, so it makes it a little bit easier because you can see now all I did was finger press it, and the fabric is already kind of curved up. So just finger pressing it will kind of help the fabric and guide it when you come back with your iron to make sure that that's nice and straight. Now there are other things that you can do, and let me see if I can just grab this here. No, don't need it. Okay, so what you can do if you don't have one of those heat rulers or some cardboard to make it, maybe you have a little scoring pen from your Cricut, or if you just can find something that's kind of flat and sharp, what you also can do is as you kind of take in your fabric and you line it up, I'm going to use my cutting mat as my measuring, and I measure out where the 1/4 inch is. I can kind of score it with my tool, you know, or the scoring tool, and just kind of score it down. And you'll see that as you do that, the fabric will start to curl up. And so that kind of will help you then, because it helps when you now come back over with your iron, it helps kind of keep that curve into place and helps you really get that straight edge. And it's kind of important to do because you don't want to have wonky edges and you don't want your bag looking all wonky. So now let me just grab my little iron here. Oh boy, you guys are having fun in that chat. Sassy, you're so hot, you're not wearing a bra. In college, I was president of the IBTC. You go, Sassy. You do you. So let's go ahead and take the iron and let's just press it down. And I'm going to grab. I want to use my little makeshift heat ruler here. And I'm just going to bring it here. And then I'm just going to iron right on top of it with the cardboard. Cardboard is not going to be hurting or anything like that. And I just like that I'm able to bump it up against something flat and solid. So it really helps. But, you know, again, you can also use the scoring tools. That will help as well. So now I have my nice crisp side on this. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So let's go ahead and take our piece of cardboard, bump it up against the fabric. We'll do the little fold. I'm going to fold it up to the 1/4 inch mark here. Finger press it first. That always helps. Then I just kind of come in with the iron. And there we go. And just leave it for a little bit. Now, if you have a clapper, which I do back here, that also kind of helps to keep that nice and flat, and it will keep it in place. So that's also a great tool to have if you have one. Now that this is nice and flat, what I also want to do is I'm going to take some Elmer's glue. And what I did was just kind of put Elmer's glue in this little bottle. It has a little needle here. It's just kind of easy to kind of, you know, use a little needle or not. You could use the little container itself rather than the whole Elmer's glue bottle. Just makes it a little easier. And what I'm going to do is going to take some of this and I'm just going to dab a little bit of glue. Just do a nice little bead all the way across. And I'm going to go ahead and flatten that out and then just kind of hit it with the iron. Now, when you're gluing this, you don't need to use a ton of glue, guys. Just a little bead, that's all you need. You just want to hold it in place. That's all you're doing. It's just a temporary hold. Now, if you do put too much glue and it kind of seeps out underneath, you know, try to wipe off as much as you can because you don't want to get it on your iron. But if you do, no worries. It is washable glue. So it will just wash off. So, you know, you're not really hurting anything when you do this. So I'm going to go ahead. I did the other side, grab my iron, and I'm just going to hit that with the iron as well. Okay. All right. So now when you're done with that, you're going to have a nice piece here ready to go. You clip my little threads. Never had time to do that. And let me just grab this one thread. There we go. Okay. So once you've done that, and I've already done it to the second piece as well. So remember, you'll be repeating this step for both pieces. What you're going to want to do is now take this piece that you just folded up and stitched, and you're going to fold this in half, lining up the edges on the top. And you're going to fold that long ways. Just give it a nice fold here. And then just grab your iron and give it a nice press. Okay, if you have that clapper, go ahead and hit it with the clapper so it can stay nice and flat. And remember, you're doing this to both of them. Once you have that in place, we're going to go ahead and set that to the side. So I'm just going to give the second one a little blast with the iron. Hit it with my clapper. Okay. And now we're going to just set these over to the side. We're going to come back to these later. We just wanted to go ahead and prep the casing that you'll be using for your bag. So let's set that over to the side. Now I want you to take out your main fabric pieces. So those 4 pieces of fabric, whether you use the same fabric or if you use 2 different fabrics, you should have 4 pieces in total. And we're gonna do kind of the same thing. Okay, we're going to take a piece of fabric, if I can get one. Here we go. And I'm going to take the fabric here. I'm going to put the wrong side of the fabric facing up. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold this over and we're going to hit it with some glue and blast it with the iron just to keep this down. Now, what we're technically doing here is we are creating the bottom and top pieces on this is the fold. So this is why you want to make sure these are nice and straight, because you want to have a nice straight line on your bag, and you want to make sure that this is going to be nice and crisp. So go ahead and let's do the fold for both pieces. So let me grab once again. I'm going to grab my little paper ruler here. I had another one before. This is a newer one that I made. I had another one, but it was so old, and I thought, you know, it's seen better days. So I had to kind of give that one up and just make a new one. I mean, it didn't take me more than a few minutes. Super, super quick to make. So here we go. And there we are on the 1/4 inch line, nice and straight, bumped up against the cardboard. Flip it over to the other side and do the same thing. Oops, dropped this side, didn't I? Okay, I think that's about right. And it doesn't have to be entirely perfect, guys. Okay. And then go ahead, grab your iron, hold down that little cardboard piece, and then just bump it right up against it and iron away. So it'll be nice and flat. There we go. You can also use your clapper to help hold it down as well. Alrighty. So you're going to want to do that to all 4 pieces. And I'm going to kind of set my iron over to the back here, just to give myself some more room. Because the next step is going to require some double-sided tape. So grab that double-sided tape, because this is not required, but it really helps a lot. Because we're working with vinyl, and vinyl is very slippery, it's hard to kind of tack down and keep into place. This double-sided tape really helps to kind of lock it in, keep it where you want it to be, so that when you do the sewing on it, it stays in place. So I went ahead and did this piece already, so I'm going to do a couple more with you here. So here are a couple pieces that I have already folded over and sewed. Now, one thing that I haven't done yet, which actually I'm going to bring my iron back, I forgot to put the glue on here, because I definitely want to glue this piece down. So once again, let me just do a nice little bead here. And I'm going to tack this down because I do want it to stay down. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and then I'll bring my iron back. Again, you don't need a glob of glue, just one little line, totally fine. That's all you need. If you guys have any questions on anything that I'm doing, or if I'm going too fast, please let me know. So again, I'm just kind of grabbing my iron. There we go. Okay. So now that we have it done, and you have all 4 of your pieces done the exact same way, you're going to go ahead and take your double-sided tape. And I just kind of eyeball this. You're just going to want to take a piece of tape, and you're going to want to bring it over from one end over to the other. So just kind of measure that out here. And you're going to want to put it on the top here. And then just grab a little pair of scissors and snip that off. Just kind of, you know, with your fingers, just make sure that's in place. And then I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Here we are. Okay, there we are. Again, just grab the next one. You're going to do this 4 times for each little panel piece that you have. And if you didn't get it right on the first time, no worries. Just go ahead and pull it up and start over again. I try to get it right up to the edge as close as I can. You just want to try to get it as straight as you can too, because you don't want it to kind of flare up and have some of that sticky side sticking outside of the fabric. So just be a little careful with that. Yeah, and here we go. Nice little piece. Little scissors here. And I've snipped that. And let's see, I have one done already, so this will be my last one. Okay. Making sure that you guys can see everything. I see. Oh, thanks, Sassy. I think she likes my camera angles. Thank you, Sassy. We try hard so that you guys can see everything. So hope you guys enjoy this. And you know, this really doesn't take very long at all to do. Like, you can whip these out in a couple of hours. Like, it's just like an hour maybe to do. If you're gonna do multiples, you know, then a couple of hours just because you have multiples of them. But these are so simple to do. Definitely do this in an afternoon. So now I have all 4 of my panels with double-sided tape on each side. And so on here, let me just double check one thing here. I want to make sure that I'm not skipping any of the steps that I had laid out here. Okay, I think we are good. Up to where I wanted to show you what you're going to do next, which is now just take this panel and we're going to fold it over, and you're going to line up edges to edges. And we're going to do a nice little fold here. And I'm just going to grab my iron just to give it a quick little press to make that nice little line in the middle. And you're going to do that on all 4 pieces of your panels. You just kind of move this over so I don't have to keep turning around. Okay, and just line that up. You definitely want to line up the edges because that's what will be attached to your bag. Okay. And we're doing that with all 4 pieces. 2 more to go. And last one. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so now you have these ironed, and you'll have 4 pieces ironed here, and you're ready to go with the next step. So I'm going to put my iron over to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and grab, and let me just put my clapper over here too. I'm going to grab the vinyl. And you're going to have 1 piece of vinyl that you want to grab. And what you're going to want to do is grab just one of these panel pieces for right now. Oops, sorry. And we're going to go ahead and open it up. And what you're going to do is take the vinyl on the long side, and you're going to go ahead and put it alongside this tape. So what we're going to be doing is taking off or peeling off the tape, exposing the sticky side of the double-sided tape, and you're going to tape this piece of vinyl, lining it up with the edge here, and then you're going to just press that down. So let me go ahead and take off the tape here. This is where I kind of struggle, is this tape. Oh, look, actually came off. Very easy for me today. Awesome. And here's the piece of vinyl. I'm going to go ahead and line up. I know it's kind of hard for you guys to see. This is where my vinyl ends. So just so you know, it's kind of difficult because vinyl is clear. So I just kind of use my fingers as the gauge, because I'm not totally sure if I hit it there because I can't see because it is clear. So sometimes I just use my fingers just to bump it up, just so I could see it. I think I got a little bit of a bump here. Oh, we're good. So I'm just going to press it down just like that. Okay. And you're going to want to do the same thing. I'm going to flip this over. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to take off this sticky tape here. I'll try to go on this side. This is where I kind of struggle, is getting this little sticky tape off. Alrighty, there we go. And so we unpeel it here, and you have it already ironed, so you should be able to just kind of lay it flat. But as you lay it flat, you want to make sure that it stays nice and straight and that your edges are flush. So just double check that, and I'm going to just kind of move it closer to me so I could see that. There we go. And then just kind of press it down with your hands. And so we have our first little panel piece with our fabric here and the vinyl here in the middle. Okay? So now you're going to take the other piece and you're going to do the same thing on the other side here. So now let's go ahead, open up that piece, and let me take off the tape again. Let's see, here we go. Yes, we got the tape. How it's cooperating with me today. How nice. Now I'm going to take the vinyl, line it up here as best I can. And then I will just finger press it down into place. And I'm going to flip it over this way because it just makes it easier for me to do it on this end. And I'm going to go ahead again. Take off that tape. This is probably the most frustrating part for me is taking off this double-sided tape. I just don't know why I struggle with it. It's just get it off. The paper is just a struggle for me. But I get it eventually. Okay, and then just grabbing these edges, make sure that I am nice and lined up with my edge here. And then just fold that into place. So now you have your first panel of the bag, and you can see here when you're looking at the finished product, you have your fabric, you have the vinyl, and you have the top part of your fabric. So if you decided to do two different fabrics, just make sure you know which one is going to be the top piece and which one is going to be the bottom. And if you're using some directional fabric, you also want to kind of make note of that as well, because you don't want your whatever design that's on here, upside down. So it would kind of be funny though. So then you just kind of take this panel, and we're going to repeat the same thing to create a second panel now. So let's go ahead and set this one over to the side. I'm going to grab my next piece of fabric here. I'm going to grab another piece of that vinyl, And here we go again, struggling with this double-sided tape. So let's see if it behaves for me. See. Now, let me try the other side. I just struggle with this thing. Here we go. I think I got it. Yep. Awesome. Okay. Now take my piece of vinyl and line that up. Press that down. And again, I'm going to flip this over. Take off that tape again. Okay, and then line up those edges again. And that's why I had you iron the middle here, because it does make it a lot easier when you're trying to line it up. If this is already ironed, the fabric kind of already knows where it needs to go, and it kind of just flops into place. And so you just got to kind of lay it out and everything will be nice and to the edge and nice and straight there. So that's our bottom piece. Now we just have to put in our top. So let's open this up here. Okay, nope. Okay, this glue really gets me. Let's try the other side. There we go. That worked better. Alrighty. And here we are. Try to line it up this way. Actually, it works better for me the other way. There we go. Line that up, press that down one last time with this tape. Okay. I'm going to flip this over so it's closer to me. Got that ironed in place, so I'm just going to let it lay flat, nice and even, and press it down. So you have both of the panels now complete. So now the next thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and grab that casing, and I want you to take one of the casings and just see where the open side is. You want to keep that on top, and then you want to fold this right in half and just finger press that closed. Okay, we're really just finding the center point. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my pins, and this is my center point for my casing. Okay, now you're going to want to do the same thing to both of them. So grab the second one, fold it in half, find that center point. With your finger press, go ahead and grab a pin and just put that in place. Now the important part is to make sure that the opening of the casing is on top, because we're going to be sewing this shut. So now go ahead and grab one of your panel pieces. We're going to go ahead and fold this in half, and you're also going to want to find the center point. So finger press that, find that center place here, then go ahead, you're going to see your little crease there, and grab one of the casings. You're going to line that up. Then I'm just going to take that same pin and just kind of repin it to include the casing as well as the main fabric. and that is my center point there. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other piece of panel. So grab this here. Let's fold this in half. Okay, have that center point. Kind of see where that is. Make sure that my opening is on top. Lay that flat. And right bumped up against the edge. Go ahead and grab that pin again and re-pin it in place. Now you can grab a couple of other pins just to get the sides down so they don't move around on you. So I'll go ahead and do that here, and you'll want to do it on the other one as well. Okay. Now we're going to go over to our sewing machine, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance just on the top where the casing is. We're going to close that shut, so just going only on this black fabric in my case. So you just want to start here, go all the way across, and end here, and you can backstitch on both sides. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay. Now I'm using a stitch length of 3. You could do 2.5, but 3 is totally fine. Let's take off one of my pins and we're ready to go. Be careful sometimes because this vinyl likes to stick. I'll have a little tip for you on that as well. Okay, and you could backstitch just to kind of reinforce it, and then just grab your second one. And we're going to go ahead and sew that into place as well. Just take off that pin here. Okay. Alrighty, so now you have that pinned into place. Now, another thing that you're going to also want to do is we want to go ahead and stitch this down as well. So we'll go to our sewing machines, go ahead and stitch this down. Just a straight stitch, just to reinforce it so that the vinyl doesn't go anywhere. So let's go ahead and do that also. I'll start with this side here. There we go. There we go. Vinyl is a little difficult sometimes. Okay, no need to backstitch on that. You can if you want to, but there's really no need. Okay, and actually I'm going to go ahead and turn this around and do it this way. Now you can use a coordinating thread depending on the fabric you picked, but I went ahead and just used this white thread. I think that was just fine. A little bit off on there, but that's totally fine. And you'll do the same thing on the second panel. So I'm going to try to speed up on this a little bit and see if we can get this done, because I know we're kind of running out of time here. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And this really is just to reinforce that the vinyl to make sure it stays into place. Okay. Okay, so you've got that all stitched into place. You can cut your threads, clean that up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just leave that for later. Let me just grab this. So now the next thing you want to do is to kind of just line up your panels, place them one on top of the other. And this is where now you'll see that the vinyl may have shifted. Even though we did as much as we could to kind of keep it together, sometimes the vinyl will still shift on you. So this is the time where you can kind of clean it up a little bit. So what you want to do is line up your casings so they are nice and secure. And then you're going to grab your ruler. Now I like to use my large ruler to square things up. So I've got here a 12.5 by 12.5 inch ruler. This is by OmniGrid. And here is where you can kind of do a little bit of that cleanup. So you want to make sure your edges are nice and square. And so we are a little bit off on here. So we're going to trim that down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead, line this up, grab my little rotary cutter. And I'm going to just trim that down. And I like to use this ruler because the vinyl is so slippery that, you know, it will, if you have any other ruler that doesn't cover the whole thing, it'll still shift around on you. So I'll just, you know, use this way. That way my project is underneath the ruler. And so it has less of a chance of just kind of shifting around on me. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and line this up. Just want to trim this down just a hair. And so make sure I grab that. So now we've trimmed it off here. And so we've laid one on top of the other. I have some threads that I can clip here and there. But we'll go ahead with this. Okay. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab some of your clips. And so you're going to take a couple of clips, and what you want to do is just make sure that your edges here are nice and secure. So you're going to want to just kind of clip these together. You want to make sure everything is nice and straight. You just go to the other side. Make sure those are nice and aligned. Go ahead and clip it. And then do the same thing on the bottom ones. Here's another clip. And on the other end, clip that as well. One more clip over here. Here we go. Okay, and now you're just going to take this back to your sewing machine and you're just going to go ahead and stitch all the way down here. Now, just a couple things on the vinyl itself, because when you are sewing on vinyl, it can be a little bit tricky. Now, if you have a no-slip foot, go ahead and use that. So this is what a no-slip foot would look like. This is one that I use from the Madame Sew presser foot set. This is a set that you have of 32 different presser feet, and this is one of them. It is number 13. It's called the non-stick foot, and this is specifically for these types of fabrics. So when you are working like things like vinyl, they tend to stick on your sewing machine as you're trying to sew. So sometimes when you're using a regular foot, it can get caught up in there and it doesn't really sew nicely. And people kind of struggle with that. But if you use these type of feet, then you'll have a much better time. And the foot is designed to kind of glide on these types of vinyl, so you won't have any issues when you're sewing it. Now, if you do not have the Madame Sew presser foot set, or you don't have your no-slip foot here, or a Teflon foot, sometimes they're called Teflon feet, other things that you can do is you can kind of go the economical route. And what you can do is you can take just some regular tissue paper and you lay your tissue paper on your sewing machine on the bottom. And then what you would do is you would put your project on top here like that. And then you would just sew with the tissue paper. What this is going to do is, if you think of your sewing machine, your feet dogs on the bottom is what's pulling the fabric. And what ends up happening is that the vinyl itself, because it's not fabric, it can kind of get stuck into the machine and it doesn't allow the feet to kind of drag it across. So if you use something like tissue paper, it actually has some fabric that it can grab and move. So if you don't have a no-slip foot, if you don't have the Teflon foot, you can use tissue paper and put it on the bottom of your project. And yes, you're going to sew with the tissue paper. And then once you're done sewing, you just tear it right off. Comes off, easy peasy, no issues. And that really helps when you are trying to sew on vinyl. So that's one of the tips that I wanted to kind of just share with you guys. I do have the foot, but I'm going to try to do it both ways so I can show you. And I know we're kind of running a little over on time, but I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. Now we're going to go ahead and sew this all the way down, and I'm going to back stitch on the top as well as on the bottom of my project, just so I can reinforce these areas as we stretch and pull on our project bags. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and use the tissue paper so you guys could see that method. Okay. You just grab this here. All right, here we go. Grab my foot, and here we go. Just move my clips out of the way. And let me move the second clip out of the way. Okay, and so you see here, now you don't want to use really thick tissue paper, right? You want just regular plain thin tissue paper. And as you can see here, you know, really easy for me to rip off. just rip it right off. There you go. Grab the little pieces. Comes right off. No one even knows that you were sewing with tissue paper. And you have a nice clean edge on your vinyl. That really makes a big difference when you're sewing with vinyl. It really helps to keep things in place as you run it through your machine. Okay. And then I also have the Teflon foot, so I can go ahead and do that as well. So I'll change out my foot on my machine. And where did I put the Teflon foot? Here we go. Very simple and easy to go ahead and switch out. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my fabric. And let's line that up. And run that through. And you can see with the foot, I have no issues running it through. Oops, kind of slipped there for a second. There we go. Now I forgot to backstitch on it, but I'm gonna go ahead and move forward for the sake of time. But now we have pretty much our bag here, right? Now, one thing that I'm going to want to do now is I still need to reinforce the bottom piece, but I also want to make a boxed edge. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my ruler, and the casing is up on the top. So this is the top of the bag. Just scoot this over a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my ruler, and I want to measure out just an inch. Grab my little marking pen, and I'm just going to draw that piece out. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Oh, Boricua Sewing Crafts, thank you for the super chat. That's my sister, guys, Boricua Sewing and Crafts. She did her live last night, and she did a little project as well. If you guys want to check that out. If you don't know her channel, it's Boricua Sewing and Crafts. She does a lot of embroidery, beautiful embroidery work. Okay. There we go. So now I'm just going to grab my scissors. And you want to grab some sharp ones. These unfortunately are not too sharp, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this little square out. You could use a rotary cutter as well, but scissors I think make it a little bit more accurate. So I'm going to use that. Not too much to cut. Whoops. I kind of shorted myself there. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Go ahead and cut that piece out. A little tiny piece left. Okay. So now you have the little square. So now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to go ahead and sew this bottom piece. Let's see. Bring this up a little bit. And I'm just going to leave the Teflon foot on here. Just go ahead and sew that into place. Make sure these are nice and lined up. Okay. And we're getting towards the end, I promise. So what we're going to need to do now is just reach into the bag and go ahead and pop that little corner out. And you're going to see the little boxed edges here. You see my little finger coming out here. I'm just going to take my seam allowances and just kind of zigzag them. So one will be going one way, the other one will be going the other way, and just line it up. There we go. And then you can take a pin and you can pin that in place and bring that over to your sewing machine. I'm just going to go ahead and sew it in place right now. So let's bring that back over. And you're just going to sew that in place really quickly there. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So go ahead and reach in, pop it out. There we go. Seam allowances, nice nesting in place nicely. And so we'll go ahead and take this back over to the sewing machine. Ideally, you would like to pin it in place, but just for the sake of time, I'm gonna wing it this way. Okay. Alrighty, now the fun part comes in. So now you're gonna reach into your bag, you're gonna make sure everything is nice and secure, and you're just gonna take the bag and you're gonna flip it out. And then just pop those corners with your fingers, or you can use that little purple thing. Since they're boxed corners, you do it kind of nicely, and you can see how that's nice and boxed in place. Nice boxed corners here on the end. And so now all we have left to do, if you want to just kind of stand up your bag, you can. You see, it's kind of nice that you can kind of stand it up so you have that nice little space here. And so your bag is pretty much complete. You just now have to grab your cord. And I like to use this little slip and glide, I think it's called. You could use a pin. You can use, there's so many different gadgets that you can use. You just basically need to kind of guide your cord from one end over to the other. So you just kind of clip this one in place. I'm going to go to my bag and I'm just going to glide it in here until it comes out the other end. Just bring that all the way over, flip the bag over, continue to the other side so you end up right back where you were. Bring that over, and so now you have your cord over on the one end, and so I'm going to unclip this. Oh, hey, 1 Minute Tips, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. I hope you guys really love this tutorial. Hope it helps. I don't get to film a lot of other tutorials, so a lot of the stuff I just kind of do live and just hope for the best. So I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Now what I like to do is just do a little knot here on the end. And so I'll just pull that out. And I like to kind of fray it a little bit. I think it adds a little bit of a flair. So I kind of fray out the edges here and just make that nice and tight. And so now you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we started on this end before. Now we're going to start on this end. So go back to that clip and glide. Go ahead and put this one inside. And then we're just going to go ahead and bring it in. Now, I like to make sure that the cording is on the bottom. So the new one that I'm about to thread through will be on the top. So I'll go ahead and do that. That way they just don't get tangled up on me. I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter. It's just kind of nice to have it nice and uniformed. And then I'll flip the bag over and slide it through, and out it comes. So once I unclip it here, I'm going to head and grab the edges and now do the little knot, same like I did on the other side. Do the little knot here, and then I'll just pull that and kind of fray it a little bit. And there we have it. We have our nice little bag, and then you can go ahead and pull the corners and it'll close shut. But you have your nice little project bag that you can use and just kind of take and put things inside. So all kinds of sewing things, little things on the go, easy stuff that you can put in here. Even the airport sometimes, or concerts that people go to, they need to do these clear bags. Sometimes these are nice to do. You can try to make things like with a little handle. So in case you wanted to kind of have this with like a strap, you can try working that into the design as well. So it just makes it a little bit easier to do. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention, because I did get an email this morning, the Madame Sew is having a 4th of July sale. They're having a buy one, get one free on all of their items. So if you were looking to get the presser foot set, this is definitely a great time to try to get it, because everything is buy one, get one free. They have other specialty feet that you can get that I have as well. And they're really a lot of fun to be able to kind of play around with when you're learning to sew. So check it out. It's totally a really nice site. They have a lot of sewing things that you could use. But this is the project bag, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I think it's really cute. I love that I can just kind of bring my projects with me on the go. Especially we've been running around all over the place. So this really helps to kind of keep on top of some of those projects that I have in my work in progress bin. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye everyone.
Nancy with GiftsHQ makes crafting videos, creating with passion and a love for what she sews. Crochet, quilting, and sewing, crafting is what she knows. Making smiles one craft at a time. Your talent will grow with every stitch and every thread she weaves her on. Her hands create something special straight from the heart. And as the colors come alive, the joy spreads near and far.